The Arts and Culture Commission Strategic Planning Subcommittee meeting to order today at whatever time it is, 10:07 a.m. Let's see, shall we do roll call first?
Sure.
Yes.
Jim Gilliam,
Here.
Bob Lemon,
Here.
Lucas O'Connor,
Here.
Charlene O'Keefe,
Here.
Alicia Shaw,
Here.
and Renee Ricketts.
Here. All right. Okay. I don't know. Let's see if there's any public comments for today's agenda. This is overall, right?
Yeah, none.
Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes, and we have to have public comment for that too. None?
No.
No, we don't. Okay. Hope you had a chance to read the minutes from our last meeting, which was really good. Attachment A was in the email from Zane. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any? No? Okay, we're all on the same page then. That's good. All right. That passed. All right, let's move on to our discussion items. Any public comments regarding our discussion items? Seeing none, let's get right into it. So, when we met last time, we were so ambitious, thinking our work was done, faithful servants, and we were ready to hand off the strategic plan to the full board. But then we realized that we would be doing them a disservice because the strategic plan is done. It's not a work plan yet, and it's evolved enough for them to know what they should do. Particularly because we haven't established a committee structure that would enable us to assign people. There's all of that business. And the plan itself has some pretty ambitious tasks that we need to help the full board business is looking at those four goals. Are those four goals able to be organized into four committees, four subcommittees to work on each one? Is that a logical organizational structure? Or is it something different? So I don't know. We didn't share this with everybody, right?
No, not yet.
Can we look on the website to find this committee? No?
I sent it to you,
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
and no one has seen it.
Yeah,
If you remember my comments at the anniversary event, they were almost the same.
okay.
And that's when I said,
Okay.
what does knowledge we needed to plan, make decisions, gain community. That was it, but I'm sure you don't have it. I'm wondering if, well, let's do this. Let's just start with that notion of, is that the best way to organize the work around each goal so that each goal has its own committee of people who own it, dig into it, report back. we know as far as Brown is concerned, Mr. Brown, our committee structure has to look like 2 people. Is that correct?
It depends. If for a non-Brown Act, the max would be 2 people working on something. If it's 3 or more, then I would have to do Brown Act meetings.
Okay, so how many commissioners do we have, including the youth?
13.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay. 13,
Mhm.
and, you know, we want to engage everyone, possibly on a committee, or not. I mean, everyone doesn't have to be on a committee. There's still room for people to just be on the board, but, if our thought was, how neat would it be if everyone on the board could be assigned a committee?
Can I ask a question? When we're looking at these 4 goals,
Yeah.
are there immediate actionable
Mhm.
items
In
under
each
each
one.
of the goals?
I believe so.
Okay, because
But
that would be my only reason for maybe not doing it that way is
Mhm.
if
There's
like
nothing to do.
there's nothing to do on this goal until someone else does work on the other. You know, like the knowledge, obviously, that's gonna be
Mhm.
jumping in so that's, I would like to refresh sort of what those where
Let
they
me,
fall underneath.
Let me go through this right now and maybe just read through this narrative.
You know, even if we created a real committee for each one, if there wasn't something big to take care of at the time, that real committee could break off into groups of 2, take 2 of those people and say, okay, there is one thing, we need to fix this door. So you 2 people
Go do that.
go do that, and then you report back to our little committee, and
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we don't have the whole committee doesn't really need to meet, just the 2 of you go do that, and then you can report back.
Right.
So, but that group would maybe own that one category, so they, as things come up, maybe they don't, even though they're exist for a year,
Mhm.
maybe they only meet 3 times, some of them might meet 10 times because. they've
Because it's
got a
more
real issue,
active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger issue, but at least that group is kind of familiar all the time, and if we
Mhm.
lose what's our title?
Commissioners.
Commissioners, then somebody new comes on, they can step on that committee, we don't lose that
Momentum.
knowledge and
Mhm.
momentum in that area.
So let's try this. Why don't we go through each one of the goals and see how it's starting to feel in terms of a committee. So knowledge, we needed to plan, make decisions, gain community and political support, and answer questions that require deeper thought. Some of the questions that might come to mind is, what does art and culture mean to us? Not just us, but to everybody else. Do we have enough art and culture in our schools? Can art and culture turn around our economy? Is it good for our health and well-being? Can art and culture bring our community together? Under this goal, the responsible committee will focus on knowledge building through a 2-step process. First, it will work with the community and other planning experts to identify and assess community cultural needs within individual artists and nonprofit arts and culture organizations, mapping existing gaps in knowledge, needs, and assets within those communities. This is a big one. Looking internally, so here's the first step. Looking internally, the committee then will guide a second assessment to measure investments in arts and culture across San Diego County government divisions. So this is when we go in. The assessment will identify existing cultural policies, recommend revisions when needed, including public art policies or ordinances, and establish a baseline of knowledge of county arts and culture resources and any gaps in cultural equity. Once completed, these 2 assessments may inform the next phase of work, leading to the development of a multi-year cultural plan for San Diego County. So by the time you finish these 2 assessments, it'll probably be easily 2026, maybe 2027. I want to say that cultural assessments are big ticket items. They're not plans yet, but they involve a lot of community engagement. And with our county being so big, it will likely require us finding money to hire a planning consultant to help us with the assessments. There are DIY ways that you can do it, but our commission, as I see it, with everyone working, we're not volunteer, I mean, everybody's not retired or anything like that. It would be highly difficult for us to oversee such an assessment. So assessments look like roundtable discussions, they look like a survey, they look like lots of town hall meetings where you're actually asking actual citizens, what do you want? What do you need? What do we, we don't get into the what do we have, we just want to go purely, what do you want? What do you need? What's missing? And then you take that information back, and then someone takes all of that data and they write something out saying, this is what we heard. That's an assessment. You need foot soldiers, thinking about Descanso, thinking about Anza Borrego, thinking about Oceanside, tip to tip. We could exclude the city of San Diego because they just did their own, and we could take them out of the equation, but everything else would be ours.
Well, that's helpful. Yeah.
It would be helpful, to
Big
just
chunk.
take them out, and then do everybody else, and the scope and scale of it depends on what we say, but the county could help us with that. They may have resources to help us with such an assessment. But given that we don't have any money, we would have to look for it. This committee would start at the beginning with first understanding how assessments work. And then finding once we find out how it works, what are the resources that we need to implement one, and doing a plan to plan. A plan to assess. I won't say plan to assess. After you do that one, and let's say we say, okay, that's year one, 2024 to 2025 will be done. Then you go inward. Or you could switch it. You could go inward first and do the county one, where you're looking inside at our existing policies. What's in the parks? What's in our libraries? What's in economic development? What do we already have? And we could go force feed it that way. And that would give us time to get the money to go out.
That would be an easier process.
I think so too.
Somewhat easier, but we still have to get the county to cooperate, and we'd have to,
Well, and I would advocate also, if we're for the outward assessment, is, there's a lot of assessments that people do that are not arts focused. So if we are hiring someone to do this process, someone who understands the arts and culture community, as opposed to maybe using county resources.
Yes.
I mean, there's pros and cons to both, but I think that arts specific knowledge is so key.
That people know where things are and how things work. Yeah.
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 Is number 7, and I always forget the letters, AEP?
AEP 6.
No, we just had AEP 6,
Uh-huh.
but in terms of number 7's timeline,
5 years.
27 and
oh, I
27.
thought it was in 2
Because
years.
this one was done
Okay.
in 22.
No,
All right.
5 years.
I thought it was every 2. Oh, well,
No.
I was just hoping we could spin off of that a little bit, but I guess not.
Yeah.
No, but by the time we complete this, we will be jumping into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At least they'd like us to take on the county portion.
yeah.
Yeah, they will be asking us to do that. So talk to me about what the committee could look like for this if we decide to go internally first. Would we look to the committee and say, who wants to head this up? Who likes data? Who likes digging in? Because they're gonna have to work primarily with Shane on that, because we have to get cooperation and design something. I mean, we still may need help. Is from that department. What's that department that helps you do stuff in the county? Don't you have one of those, the consultants?
All those, they're with the agency technically, so they're not within our business
Oh,
group.
really?
Yeah. But
There are some other places we could go, to get some help on it. A university might be good. Some of them do charge, some don't charge. It just depends. They get graduate students to help.
Good idea.
But this committee would have to sit down and think about that.
Right.
We don't have to think about it at this table, but who in our 13 members would seriously like to chair it, to take it on, and wants to commit themselves for a whole year? It's like, who wants to chair the gala this year? We're gonna buy you the tables and all that kind of stuff. Who wants to do that? Well, who's gonna raise their hand to that? Let's think about those people around the table.
Well, let's look at what the other choices are too.
Huh?
Let's look at what the other choices are too.
Oh, you wanna look at the
Out of
other?
knowledge, let's look at the other three.
Okay, let's look at the other
That's all,
three.
look at
And
all.
then we'll see,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna start running out of people.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go on to engagement. Whether it's called community engagement, relationship building, or networking, this engagement goal means increasing awareness of who we are as a newly established local arts agency serving the entire San Diego County. It's about what we're established to do and how everyone can get involved in making San Diego County a place where arts and culture thrive. The committee established to implement this goal will develop a plan that includes various activities such as a speakers bureau and presentation package for commissioners so that each is ready, trained, and equipped to engage with the public. There may be plans to host networking events in partnership with various community cultural groups strategically located in different parts of the county. The committee may organize and host other special events such as lectures and educational seminars, and commissioners may make themselves available to serve on workshop panels or guest speak at arts and culture civic events. So this is truly engagement in all of its, mechanics. They'll routinely present to the Board of Supervisors and provide updates on their work for the benefit of the supervisors and the public.
So looking between engagement and knowledge and how they're described, I could see getting two bangs for the buck. Because engagement, while doing it, you
Mhm.
would also be
Yeah.
increasing knowledge.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so I'm thinking already some kind of over data umbrella that looks at how this also
can
clicks
see.
off that,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, you go to a Rotary event.
yeah, exactly,
Kiwanis,
exactly.
And you're saying, hi, we're the San Diego County Arts and Culture
Exactly.
Commission, and this is what we do. Show of hands, and you might be able to get
Yeah.
some basic data,
Yeah.
but I will say that this type of data engagement is
Yes.
pretty light.
Yeah,
It's standing up at the chamber meeting and
Yeah.
introducing yourself, and you're not there to survey people. It's not a round
no,
table.
I know the difference. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking,
The data you're looking at is basically the same questions they asked for 86, right?
Eight.
yeah,
You want to just copy their stuff and take it to the. each
Almost,
city.
almost,
Almost,
yeah,
or something very similar.
you're getting people to talk about it deeply, how they engage in arts and culture and what's missing. I wish there was a dance studio in my town and we just don't have anything to do, or the kids don't have enough activities. You typically won't get that at the Kiwanis Club
no.
presentation.
But this sort of engagement under this committee will help it will help the knowledge group. As
Get in
far-
the door.
Getting in the door and getting names of
Absolutely.
contacts as well as the
Absolutely.
communication or whatever the communication piece is, building awareness and building websites so that, it kind of, this is almost like the umbrella.
You're right.
They're gonna kind of seep
And just
into.
and to your point, if you were to decide which goes first, engagement is first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would assume we added some emails to our list over the last.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah, what was that
Yeah.
number? Do you have that number?
We're a little over 200. I think we got about
Okay,
100.
that's
Oh,
twice as much as it
good.
was.
Good
Yeah.
one. We doubled.
That's a good double.
Right, yeah.
Keep
From
doubling.
from 2 to 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see this as essential, immediate.
Right out the gate, we start this introduction. Who are we? What do we do? And giving people a sense of how they're going to be engaged in our work going forward and what we need from them. So let's say this, we haven't done the other ones yet, but let's say this is a priority.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and I think they're gonna also this committee is going to need to be very aware of what all the other committees are doing, because it will
Mhm.
inform,
What
what
they
the
say.
speaker series is going to be, or what the,
Mhm.
how can this committee help the other committees?
Yeah. This is, again, thinking about our 13 people, someone who likes to do this, is organized, and wants to hold it. This is not like, yeah, I'll help. No, you need somebody who is we're a working board. Are they going to own this and do this? This is a lot of work, managing the Speakers Bureau, blah, blah. Okay, let's go on to communications. Communication goal enables us to create, share, deliver, and exchange valuable information with and for the San Diego arts, culture, and society. Crafting an effective marketing and communications plan. Marketing and communications plan with supporting strategies will help us convey our mission and values and establish strong connections with the community during the startup phase of development. So we really need to have a marketing and communications plan. The committee will develop a plan that utilizes traditional marketing and communications tools and tactics, including print and digital platforms and social media for information sharing and storytelling. A tangible outcome of the plan will be establishing a robust website, better than what we have, and a monthly digital newsletter that shares stories and information of interest and importance to San Diego County residents. And so this is probably the most traditional committee out of all of them, because it should be someone who is familiar with marketing techniques, that they can develop a full body plan of attack, with even getting our name changed potentially with the logo so that we will stop colliding with everybody else. That's going to be important. There are people agencies out there that do this for a living. When we changed our name from SDRAC to what it is now, we had a marketing plan. We had a marketing person to help us do that. It costs money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it did cost money. Are you seeing this person come up on the committee? Let's see. Capacity, that's our last one. The capacity building goal is to develop the all-important infrastructure that will support and shape our organization and enable it to be effective and sustainable over time. As a newly founded local arts agency, we'll benefit from all the elements of capacity building. We need mentoring and board professional development. We need human resources, volunteer recruitment, systems development, financial investment to provide what is needed to move our strategic agenda forward. A pivotal step in our development is to gain official designation as a local arts agency by the state-funded California Arts Council. The SLP program provides general operating support and technical assistance for county-designated local arts agencies. The program's purpose is to foster cultural development on the local level through a partnership between the state and the counties of California. The nature of this partnership includes funding, you get a little money, information exchange, cooperative activities, and leadership, all elements that will be useful to us through our capacity building efforts. In addition to becoming an SLP, which could make us eligible for a renewable grant of $75,000 per year, a strategy under this goal is to research other national, state, and local funding sources to ensure we have the renewable source of income to support our programs and initiatives. So this is about looking at us as an organization and finding money, because we need money to have capacity and we need expertise to have capacity.
This could also involve writing grants and all of that business.
It could be
Yeah.
helping out.
Are we somewhere in the process already of being designated a
SLP.
Yeah.
Why don't you give them an update on where we are?
So this is the start of another funding cycle for SLP, and because we don't have funding or capacity quite yet for that. What we've done is we've designated the city for the next 2 years, but part of that agreement is that during these next 2 years, they're gonna start sharing data with us of what they've done in the past, what the programs they've run are, that's required by the program. And during those 2 years, our office is gonna build up those capacity to take over, let's say it was the poultry competition, that's one of the
It comes with
requirements.
some strings.
Yeah, it comes with some
We gotta
strings.
do some stuff.
So our office is next 2 years is building up all of that
The
to take
capacity.
over, so
And
that
then-
the next year, or the next cycle will be applying for that.
So could you not have, I mean, I know that this cycle, no, but could the city of San Diego and the County Arts and Culture Commission, could they both?
Currently, no,
Okay.
Historically, it used to be,
Okay.
and then at one point, the
Mhm.
decision was made that there will be only one per region. And the
Mhm.
county
Okay.
supervisors is the one who designates which one would be allowed to do it.
Okay.
So they were okay designating the city for this round, considering how new they were. Likely though, in the future, they would designate our own county Arts and Culture
Okay.
Commission. That could change. There are people who are discussing and trying to advocate for the idea of, for cities that are so large, like LA and San Diego,
Mhm.
They
it
have
would,
two.
it would make more sense
To have two.
to have two.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
they had allowed to. But did that change?
They had
They
for a
did.
while.
And then about 5-10 years ago,
Oh.
I think, it
Oh.
disbanded. So LA used to have to,
Right, they-
because
San
we only
Francisco.
had one for
Yeah.
30 years anyway. And
The other
then,
thing that's a factor is we have to match the 75,000.
That's what I was gonna say.
From the state,
Yeah,
and since we have not
Okay.
gotten any allocations
Right.
from county.
right,
Mhm.
We
okay,
have
We're
to
not
start the
there
ball
yet.
rolling on that.
right,
right.
Talk about capacity building. I mean,
Right.
this is really the nuts and bolts of our organization. And I'm interested in the part where we're learning, us having speakers or someone from, LA County to come and talk to us, even Orange County, they have a different, Orange
Yeah.
County, they have their different kind of
Yeah,
business
They're
structure.
a
how-
separate nonprofit.
Yeah,
They're
they
not
do.
connected to the county at all.
Mhm, but they
Yeah.
get it done.
Is that OCR?
Yeah, so they're different.
yeah.
Looking at, how do we bring in people who want to help us? Do we need a Friends of the Arts Commission or something, a volunteer group? What other things can we do in the meantime while we're building capacity to learn about looking at models across the country, or at least in the state,
Mhm.
and learning? So someone would have to wrap their head around this, stick with it, become an expert on all things capacity, and work hand in hand with Jane on curriculums, so to speak, for our capacity building, learning, and then finding money. What can we apply for now with being so new and having nothing to show? Most grants want you to, well, what have you done?
Yeah,
The,
it is.
the matching funds component, which applies to a lot of grants. The money now that the supervisors give out to arts organizations,
Could it?
well, they do already.
No, I'm wondering,
Yeah.
are you saying could that be
Well,
matched?
no, well, what I'm saying is if there's a way that without giving us any control, so right now they get to pick who they give it to.
Mhm,
But without giving us any control, is there a way to flow it through us?
Mhm. Right.
So
Oh.
it
At
still
least it
goes to
shows on
whoever
our
they
books.
say,
Yeah.
Exactly.
but
But
it
it flows
shows,
through
it's
us,
kind of
so
like,
it's like
it
matching
happens a
fund.
lot. It's like
Okay,
basically,
right.
you stick it into one organization and they pay it right back out.
mhm.
But it would show money coming into our group,
Hmm.
therefore we'd have funds.
So that would be something
And it
for
would
this
come from the
team to
commission.
investigate.
They'd still get credit, say it's
Yeah.
through, from
Mhm. And we'd have
Montgomery
money
Steps
just
through this
all of a sudden.
organization.
Mm.
But at least it would show some money coming through our organization and help us get closer. I don't have idea how much they give you all combined.
Mhm.
Does it reach 75,000? I don't know. It
Mhm.
might, but whatever it reaches,
does.
It does.
well, there you go.
It's a lot of
That
moolah.
could solve our problem of reaching the matching
Yeah.
funds
It's all on paper.
without us getting a penny,
Yeah.
but at least it's still,
Mhm.
it's legit. It's nothing.
It would help
Wow.
immensely, not just with the CAC, but with anybody else who's saying, what do you give to the arts? What do you do for the arts? Partnerships are gonna be important too, and I hope that San Diego Art Matters can help. There is I can tell you this now, there is a proposal to Krebs Foundation right now for a new program that we're floating to them. And it's about capacity, it's called, how do I say, network-based capacity building. And here's the idea. We have about 7 cities that are local arts agencies now. There's Carlsbad, Encinitas, Real, where the government has designated them. Coronado, okay, so they exist. We create a network with them to help develop them so that they can be stronger advocates within their governments for money, policies, whatever. And they stay together for a whole year. They get some money to do a singular project, or they can pool their money together and do a big project, maybe with the SOP money. Maybe they can leverage it that way. They meet for, I think it's an 18-month. I think that's what I was proposing. Previs is considering $260,000 that will flow through SD Art Matters, and we will work with this group. The county, us, will be part of it. So that's one of our, because we're a local arts agency, but we just happen to
Yeah.
be county. So we will be invited to be in the cohort. That could be the person who is the representative from the Arts Commission could be the designated person in that cohort. And it would be their job to go to those convenings and that learning and be a part of that group for a whole year. That could be one way that we could do this box pretty easily. You still need people to work on the funding part, but the capacity building, if that program gets funded, could get taken care of through that program. The whole board still needs to learn, you know, still needs to have people come in and talk, but that could be a significant way that one individual could bring that information back to the group.
So I have a question about time and when our terms end. So my term ends January 1st, 2025. Yeah, that's what it
Oh,
says
What
on my
are
little certificate thing.
your two, yes,
Um,
1, 2, 3.
so my question is, those of you who've
No,
had
no,
experience with this stuff?
You would
Oh.
only, your term would only end
Yeah.
if Anderson is not reelected.
That's right.
Oh.
there
Sorry,
as
that's
long
why I
as
said,
you're-
wait, give me a second.
You're there as long as you're.
So we have January 1st, 2025, because
Okay,
we as
because that's
staff
when there
cannot
would
make
be-
the assumption
Right.
who's
That
gonna
could
be
right.
elected. And
And is it
Yeah.
also, because I know when your district
Mhm.
got a new supervisor,
Mhm. We had
you
to be
stayed,
reappointed.
but she just had to reappoint you, right?
And she didn't have to, but she did.
Okay, because you weren't turned out yet? Is that
So-
why?
No, so you all serve at the pleasure of your appointing authority to
Exactly.
supervisor
Exactly.
until somebody new is appointed. So in the case of, let's say, a new supervisor comes in
Yeah.
and they haven't appointed somebody yet, whoever's in that seat will continue on. That was how
Okay.
we wrote the ordinance, I
But
believe.
I thought that the two of you, there was this sort of like official moment where
Yeah.
she appointed.
Yeah,
you.
She did?
She had to reappoint.
Okay.
Yeah,
She had to do that
She
with
did
all
have to
the
reappoint. you.
So all
Okay.
supervisors
got
have to
it.
do that, but to
Okay.
make sure that commissions and advisory boards can continue their work in case there's a delay in appointments, whoever was
Alright.
there would
And
continue on
supervisors
right.
have term limits, don't they?
two,
Yeah.
yeah, 2 terms, so
Mhm.
8 years max.
Okay.
Were you concerned about that in terms of committee assignments? Like somebody might
Yes.
get yanked out and you'll be able to
Yes,
finish?
and that continuity thing, the continuity when because we're just starting
Mhm.
and don't have a lot of institutional memory within our own group.
Mm.
I'm concerned about having somebody that can really stay for a year, that we can count on it. But it also kind of sounds like in the working reality, people can count on it. Unless they really mess up,
If
they're
you're,
probably gonna get.
Oh,
I
rid
you
of
mean
it.
the
too-
reappointment?
I
Yeah,
wouldn't be too worried, but at the same time, you can do what we do at the county. There's 1, 2, and 3 are in different election cycles than 4
Yeah.
and 5. So if you mix and match people that way,
yeah.
So you won't lose everybody.
you
at the
won't
same
lose
time.
everybody at the same
Okay.
time, just in
Alright.
case,
Yeah.
just
Okay,
in
so
case.
this,
Good idea.
this
Something
is.
to think about when we're building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
But
was
you know, Renee,
thinking. Yeah.
But here's the reality. Even without term limits and everything, people move away, they change
That's
jobs,
Sure.
That's
people
true.
do what they do.
They resign.
They
They
resign
resign.
because they had
That's
enough
right,
or
that's
whatever.
right.
So we don't worry about that because things we can't control.
Right.
So we just say, okay,
This
let's
is how
go.
we're gonna try to do it.
Honey, this is who's here right now, and they raise their hand, they're gonna do the best they
The
can.
other thing we
Okay.
might want to consider, and I really liked how we did it, I don't know if it was this group or one of the groups, is we had a rotating spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
this is
that,
true.
because I mean, there's several that I would be happy to serve on, but I
Yes.
don't want to serve on all of them because I don't have that much
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
And there's 1 or 2 that I'd be okay leading,
Yeah,
but if at certain times my expertise might come and help, or yours might come in handy, be nice to be able to rotate that person on for a
Mhm.
short amount of time
Mhm.
without having to go through the whole process again of
Mhm.
kicking somebody off and bringing somebody on. So if we had one spot that was always
Always
rotating,
open.
we put that in, and when we create the committees, it would make it easier, I
Right.
think, in the process.
Well, and especially because we know that there's so much overlap in
skills. and-
skills and in what each of these committees is working on.
Right,
That it would be really nice, okay, for the next 2 months, we need someone from the communications committee to sit with this committee, and then we can pull them in. You know, I think.
But
I
the
like
main
that.
group could be the same people.
Right, yeah.
Just have one spot on each one that's rotating.
so this whole committee structure is you get two people, no notices, no Brown Act needs, and they can meet as much as they want and do whatever. Once it goes to 3, it has to be noticed. So we could also say, we don't care that it has to be noticed. If we need 4 people on a committee, we're just gonna have 4 and it's gonna get noticed. Because
Mhm.
if you know, you're not gonna limit the capacity of the committee just because you're trying to work around Brown Act. If you need 4, you need 4.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we have 13 members. Let's start with that. Is it our prerogative? Is that a priority that everybody get on a committee? Or do we say those who want to should, those who don't have to? And you can just sit on that commission and never get on a committee if you don't want to.
Yeah, we just talk about them when they're.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Who should we talk about today?
Can you
We
give
can't
a,
presume the capacity that people have.
You cannot.
to-
Right.
We can't like
So
de
you
facto
must.
require.
It's
yeah.
not, I don't think it's in our bylaws that you're
Yeah.
required to sit on any committees, so unless we wanna add that.
But you
Then I
could
don't
say that
think-
it's the hope that.
Everybody will
it
choose
is the hope
one.
that
Unanimous
everyone will choose one.
participation.
Can we say that? Okay, so we agreed that we are encouraging everyone to choose at least one to participate on.
Well, and if we have that open spot on each of the committees, that rotating spot that we talked about, that might give somebody who doesn't have the capacity to sit full-time to be able to kind of hop
To go
in
in and out.
sometimes on some of the,
And they
Committees.
just want to be a rotator.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
if you're
what's
only
gonna
having
happen?
2, the nice thing is you don't have to meet in person either, which I know.
Oh,
it's
you
hard
can
for-
do Zooms.
Yeah. you
Oh, I
can-
didn't know
You can
that.
Zoom with each other. I can help set that up in between if you need to.
So a project can Zoom, a regular ad hoc has to meet in person.
Yeah, so that's another benefit, and I know Renee, with you and Monica, you guys would call, you didn't.
We
necessar-
did,
You
we
didn't.
met once, but we
Yeah,
called a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, you could meet if you wanted to,
So
but the
two-
flexibility is
The
there.
2 people can do that.
Yeah, they can call. they can
Okay.
Zoom.
Zoom,
They don't have to meet in person because it's not Brown Act.
Wow.
and no notes or none of that required.
So-
That's an incentive to,
So then-
Keep it down to 2.
So if we set these 4 committees, those would be Brown Act, full notice meetings. But they could create as many projects between them,
is that? true?
right? So can an ad hoc,
What I was seeing.
can a committee, so if we're in a committee here and we need something to happen, can we have 2 people, can we assign them to a project that they work on together and report back to the ad hoc?
I have to clarify with David, so a couple things is generally, technically, only the chair can assign people to projects.
The chair of the committee? or
The general commission. However, that said, if you're part of a subcommittee, and like we did this round, right? Bob and Renee ended up planning the event thing, they can do like projects within the committee separately, and then
Okay.
bring it back to the sub,
To
to
this.
those.
So that's what you're speaking.
So that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
He
if
was speaking to Bob.
if we had each of these subcommittees.
That are full-blown committees,
They're-
4 people.
We have 4,
Mhm,
yep, they're the whole thing, but there's a project within their.
Yeah.
Committee that needs to get done by 2
Mhm.
people,
You can-
they have the
That would
power
be
to
awesome.
set
you
the
could be
2.
6. You can actually, we're 6.
Yeah.
We're
So
6.
we could have subsets of this is what we're trying
That
to
could
get
be
to.
awesome. And someone could go work on some grants.
Because we're
2 of
already
you go
working
over and
on
work
You
on
2
grants.
go work on grants, you 2 work on this, you 2 work on that, and then we come back and,
And let me
And-
confirm with David that that's okay though, but.
yeah, if you can, cause
Let
that,
me see if I can.
That would be
I
a
was
good
gonna
workaround.
suggest Possibly in the interest of streamlining some of the bureaucratic layers, if our goal is to have as many like 2-person projects as possible under this, whether this committee should be meeting and just coming up with a list of projects and bringing it to the full commission, and that's an agenda item, is here's the list of 6 projects that we have that we need to get going right now.
Who wants
We
to do
need
one?
2 people for each of them. Let's go and.
So
do
we're the
this.
master committee.
Right, but
I was
everything's
trying
still
to get
flowing through the main commission, so that we don't have like multiple different committees that aren't necessarily talking to each other, and then they're
Oh,
creating sub-projects and committees that are siloed from other people.
so we're command center.
Yeah.
Right,
But I
and we
think-
just kind of like create a to-do list and bring it to the full commission.
Yeah,
I think Zhang's concern though is, can this be done outside of a regular commission meeting?
Yeah, no, a message
Right.
to
She's
David right
checking with
now.
yeah.
David right
Well,
now.
and my other,
I mean, we can frame it as, here's our proposal. Would the commission like to vote to say, yes, this is our to-do list?
right.
But I
And
think
then
you have to
also
probably,
here's-
are you guys talking about us being?
Yeah, we're
That's
the
what
command
he was
center.
saying,
Yeah.
but yeah. I guess my question is, so we have these 4 things, so each of these categories needs to, we need to look at the strategic plan, we need to come up with the action steps, the action items, the timeline for those things to happen. Are we the ones who are going to be setting these action items, or are we going to set
Release
these
it.
committees
And they do
and
it.
release the committees to do, that's their first project as each of these committees is to look at the strategic plan, to create the action items and the
And
timeline
bring it back to
and
us.
bring it back.
I mean, I guess my concern is so many of these 4 buckets have like intimate overlap
They
with each
do.
other,
They do.
right?
They
That
do.
It's
if we
difficult.
go out and set up 4 different committees that then create separate projects within those committees,
Mm,
that then has to flow up and up and up and back and then shared back out to
It'll
everybody.
take us
It's
forever.
gonna take
That's
6
true.
months
Yeah, yeah.
for there to be
Just the
materials
communication.
for the speakers bureau.
You're right.
Right,
Right?
yeah,
Whereas if, we agendize at the next full commission meeting, here's whatever it is, 6 tasks that we need to find 2 people each for.
Yeah, we need
And
2 people
then,
for speakers bureau. Who
collapse
wants
it
to
all
do that?
back at the next meeting, and then we can
Mhm.
disseminate it out so that, if it's developing marketing materials, everybody has it immediately and can apply it to everything else.
right.
And then we're kind of triaging the order of these things so that there's a flow to it. And if there's one thing that gets stuck because there are 2 people on it and they're spinning their wheels because whatever, somebody got sick or they just can't figure it out, then we can kind of troubleshoot in a way that, it's not like over here in a corner and we don't find out for 3 months.
3 months that it didn't happen,
That-
that the
that
ball got
something's-
dropped.
yeah.
Yeah. I like what you're saying. It puts we'll never retire here, this committee. I was looking to retire.
I mean, we could dissolve this and reform a different committee.
Yeah, that's true, but,
And force term limits on that, like if you served on the last one, you can't do this.
well,
Oh, I see.
well, we have such an intimate knowledge
Yeah.
of the plan now. I can see where we remain command central. But I think what you've hit upon probably is more manageable than having these 4 committees out there doing things, and then we don't find out what they've done or not done until months later, and then we're trying to see the overlap, but we
Right.
get to see have the bird's eye view of everything.
Yeah.
And all we say is, just go do that. Just do that and bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
You do that and bring it back.
Well,
Figure it
and-
out.
And then we can manage we're not gonna run into a situation, oh, I wish I knew that the
So and so, I was
communication
doing,
committee was doing that because that would have
Yeah,
been
we don't want
helpful.
that.
We had to do that on our own
Yeah.
because,
Right,
you
you end up
know.
with 3 different versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
that might solve that problem.
It's
Well,
also
what do you
easy to
think?
capture the data of what we're doing. To me, it's easy because what you're proposing is the format that I've worked on in healthcare and also for the county,
Mhm.
through healthcare. If there's somebody who, like us, who really knows what's the master strategic plan,
Mhm.
they can listen to what's being brought back and say, that checks this box, that checks this box, that checks this box, this is what we accomplished in June.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, we're command central.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think that, that's the way it's set up a lot by the county, actually, for healthcare, it's set up that
Mhm.
way, big time. And it also avoids the siloing thing, because everybody does know somebody else is working on that, and this is where they are. And the turnaround of communication is actually monthly, not every 2 months. But still, it's pretty fast turnaround of communication. Where are we on where are we on this?
And I think this bite-sized assignment will be more acceptable to a lot
Oh,
of these
yes.
working people.
Absolutely.
That they don't have to, I want you to go do a marketing plan,
Yeah.
not, instead of saying, I want you to do this one
Little chunk.
thing.
Yeah.
Do it and come back, and then I
Yeah.
might give you another one. Do that and come back.
Right, and they don't have to worry about finding time for scheduled in-person meetings necessarily.
They just do
And
it.
I suspect that people will over time kind of self-sort into these 4 buckets
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway.
Right.
And that also gives us some flexibility on tasks in terms of like, I think we'll probably at least informally, if not formally, be kind of like conceiving of it with those 4 buckets. But if there are things that don't naturally fall into just one bucket, we don't end up in a weird space of
Right.
who do we assign, like, which committee gets this
doesn't matter,
thing?
right.
It doesn't matter. We just need to say, like, we need a couple people who can work on this.
Yeah. And I think this structure, this 4 committee structure may be down the line a bit once everything, but because we're so new and there's so many pieces that are not settled yet, and that's what we're gonna be doing is settling these things into our vision.
Well,
you know?
maybe we keep this for us. So maybe at this table, we're Command Central, but you're the marketing person, or you're the
No.
engagement person, or you're the
Engagement,
knowledge
yeah.
person, so that we're not all
Yeah.
thinking about everything all the
Right.
time.
Mhm.
That I know you got it. You're thinking about marketing all the time,
That's good.
and then we kind of divide and conquer at this table, because, I think having this be Command Central is one thing, but then even within us, we need to organize.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say also, I mean, we can think through and be creative about information flows once we start kind of doling stuff out to folks, that
Mhm.
it doesn't only have to be, I think, at a full commission meeting that it comes back. I think it can go to staff and get disseminated out if it's a final product, depending on what the thing is.
I was wondering about that too, Zane. We're kind of both looking at you. Because if you wanted if you wanted to report out or updates monthly, but you didn't want to meet as a full commission monthly, could informational updates go out via email monthly to everybody
From me.
through you?
From me, I
Okay.
believe so. David's trying to jump on right now to our Zoom
Okay.
meeting, so we can ask a lot of these, he can
Good.
answer
Good,
and
good.
talk through all the nuances, with us. It's just Zoom gets a little bit of a lag in sending out the invites, but.
Because
Can
what's
I-
important is, we don't want the fact that we meet every other month as a commission to slow this process.
Right, that's
Right.
what I'm
So
thinking. We don't want it
you
to
gotta be
slow
able to work
down.
beyond,
Right.
oh, that has to go back to the commission.
Right. Can I ask a question? Can someone refresh me where we stand with setting the action items under each of these goals? Have we written out those?
Not to a
Not
great extent.
specifically.
I think we have this is the big bucket of understanding of what should be in there, and now we gotta go granular.
Okay, so that's still work that
We have
we have,
some, just
yeah.
a little
David.
bit.
That's what I kind of recall
Kind
having
of
some of
purpose
that.
of extending this.
Thank
is
you
that
very much.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
doing
that's what I
that.
thought. Okay.
It is a good jumping off
Mhm,
thing for us.
So David is on, oops, let me get back on the Zoom. So, David, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Welcome.
Hello.
So David, we have an idea of how we want to organize our work of implementing our strategic plan. And we started thinking about a committee structure where maybe 4 distinct committees that would mirror our 4 goals.
Yeah,
And then we had an idea that maybe it might be better for our strategic planning subcommittee here would be like Command Central, that we own the strategic plan. And then all we would do to get it done is assign tasks so that we would have these 2-person committees. Projects, I'm sorry. So we would say, hey, you two go and do research on grants, which would fall under one of our big goals of capacity. You two go and work on a marketing strategy or something, and then they would do that as a two-person project. It would allow them to meet online. It would allow them to meet as they needed. And of course, they wouldn't have to notice the meeting under Brown Act. And it would give us the ability to organize, control, stay abreast of everything that's going on, instead of having 4 unwieldy committees out there doing things that probably are going to overlap, and it'll take us longer. And so what do you think of that? Is that doable under our structure with the county?
I think that's a problem. Here's where I think it's a problem, okay? Where it becomes a problem is if your subcommittee is retaining control over this, and your subcommittee is how many members? 6?
6,
Right. So what happens is all of a sudden you have 2 people who are looking at one thing, and then they talk to the subcommittee chair to put something on the agenda. And all of a sudden you have 3 people starting to talk about something. And if it overlaps or interferes with anybody else doing anything, somebody else talks, and then you are in violation of the Brown Act. So I think that's why it becomes a little bit problematic to have a subcommittee of this size
Just hand out assignments.
essentially launching a bunch of these other things. And also, if the committee is the one doing it, the committee is essentially creating subcommittees of itself. Those themselves are going to be, those themselves would have to be committees. Okay.
Oh,
Not if it's 2.
Okay. You'll notice what Jim does when he is asking somebody to look at something and bring it to the meeting. It's not something that you guys vote on. Jim simply says, so-and-so, can you please look at this and bring me something for the next meeting?
yeah.
There's no commission created committee there. There's no subcommittee created subcommittee there either. So I think it becomes a bit of a problem if you have groups of 2 people, and if what it is voted on by the committee.
Right, I think the idea was that this subcommittee would generate the ideas of what the project should be, and then bring it to the full commission as recommendations, and then the full commission would identify projects and draw from the full pool of commissioners for completing those projects. And those projects would then come back to the full commission.
So in that case, what you're talking, that sounds like something that's much more workable. Essentially, if you want to create like 4 new subcommittees, 1 for each of these. I mean, are these tasks that you envision 1 or 2 people doing, or are these tasks that maybe 3 or 4 people are doing?
I think what we're knocking around as a possibility right now, at least, is that instead of going out and creating a bunch of new subcommittees,
Right.
we would forego that and just use this committee to create like a recommended to-do list that we would bring to the full commission. The commission could vote, the full commission would vote on, do we want this to be our to-do list going forward? And then it would be 1 or 2 person projects that.
And then the chair can more or less, outside of the committee meetings, seek individuals to volunteer to take on each of those projects.
So it can happen outside of the commission meeting.
To get the volunteers.
For the project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So in other words, this goes to the commission says, yes, we want to have these things done.
Yeah.
And then the chair will, either the chair or Zhang will hear who wants to volunteer for what and work with the chair to figure out who will take care of working on something. And,
Yeah.
Scheduling when that goes on, when any sort of work product goes on the next meeting agenda.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then those projects have to report back to the full commission
I think that works a lot
Not to
better than,
us.
and
That
not,
works.
and then, so they'll report to the full commission and then our subcommittee may meet after they've made all their reports and we'll come up with a new set of work plan
Yeah.
tasks or, you know, next steps on those things and then take them back to the full commission.
David,
Okay.
could the chair of this, the strategic plan committee talk to the projects, individually projects, just to kind of assess where they're going and make sure that they have the resources they need outside of commission meetings?
That's a good question.
Remember that this subcommittee is a Brown Act body and you can't have decision-making happening with meetings, either serial meetings or one at a time meetings with a majority of your subcommittee. So
Could
if you could stick with those parameters, then I think there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be scrupulous about sticking to those parameters. Yeah.
So
So-
basically, let's say Bob can't talk to more than 2 or 3 of you, because that would trigger a Brown Act violation of
So-
the.
So
of
who's
the
the,
subcommittee,
so
but he
saying-
also can't talk to more than, if he talks to more than 6 people, period, then that's also a violation of the.
But are we
Brown Act.
talking at once or individually?
Individually, that's what,
This-
David is
that's
talking
what a
about,
serial meeting is.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You and you and you and you and you.
But if the people working on the project are outside of this
it
subcommittee,
doesn't matter, because that's still the issue of if you
Right,
have a
it-
majority of your full commission talking about something,
Mhm.
Right.
even if it's all to one person, that's why you guys have to direct everything to me.
Right,
That's
right.
still the serial meeting. It triggers the serial
We-
meeting clause.
Yeah, we have to look at both the subcommittee and the full committee in,
Okay.
in deciding whether something's gonna be okay. And it's gotta pass both of those.
David, could the subcommittee submit the report to Zhang and Zhang could give it to this committee?
So for instance, if 1 or 2 people were assigned by the chair of the commission to work on some project,
Okay.
and assuming they don't talk to anybody else, and but Jim, that is you on this, right? You are on
Right,
this. Okay.
right.
Sorry, I can't really see on the screen where it says who else is here, so, okay. So if the chair of the commission assigns to 1 or 2 people, go work on this. And whenever it's done, those 2 people say, okay, Zhang, here we go. Here's our thing. Can you put it on the commission agenda? On the full commission agenda? Yeah, I think they could do that. On the subcommittee agenda, well, there are already 2 people talking with the chair, so, and all of a sudden, there's gonna be some discussion about it with the subcommittee chair, that gets you to 4 people, so that there are a lot of things that could go wrong there.
So if the project, the 2 people on the project, need some additional input, who can they talk to?
They could talk to Zhang. They could talk to the full commission chair. And and chances are it's not going back, chances are if you have you, Jim, and 2 people working on a project and the subcommittee chair talking and planning stuff out, that violates your subcommittee, that puts your subcommittee as a problem. So in other words, these would go to the commission. It would be the way that would wind up working.
Okay, but they could, 2 people on the project could talk to Zhang or me, and we're okay.
That's 3 people. Long as they're not talking to anybody else on the subcommittee, assuming those 2 people are on the subcommittee. Yeah.
That's a lot of projects to filter through one person,
You know,
and
right.
um,
But most
David-
of them wouldn't be members of the subcommittee.
they would not.
Right, so
they-
that would change the math somewhat, right? If it's,
It could
If it's a
change, it
project-
could change the math some if not everybody is a member of the subcommittee, correct?
Mhm.
Because there are 13 and, total, so projects will involve hopefully all 13 in it.
7 of them could do this, because
Mhm.
there's 6 here. David, now understanding what we're trying to do, if you were designing this, how would you have done it?
All right, so if okay, so if I'm trying to figure this thing out, what I might do is something like this. The chair assigns, I probably wouldn't have, I probably would say, okay, subcommittee, let's put together work plans that are going to be adequate, adequate enough not to require additional direction, or if it requires additional direction, that can come from the full commission.
Yeah,
Commission chair says, yeah, I like this, and maybe the commission as a whole says, yeah, I like this. That gets you some buy-in from the commission as a
okay,
whole. Then Zhang checks out to see who's willing to volunteer to do which items, and assuming you
Okay.
have adequate volunteers to do each item, they start working on them. And if they need additional input, they talk to Zhang or the commission chair.
okay,
And they bring their projects to the commission as a whole,
right,
or they bring their they bring their projects to the commission as a whole, or if or whether it's, hey, we're done, or no, we need additional input.
okay, and it happens in that meeting, okay,
Yeah, I think I would do it that way.
okay.
In other words, you all are designing what the framework is, you designed the
Uh-huh,
strategic plan. You guys are designing you guys are figuring out what needs to happen under that strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, people will do what they're going to do, and they're going to bring their work to the commission.
Okay,
I think
That's-
that's how I would probably
the
do it.
most streamlined way of doing it, okay, I see. I, thank you, David, do you guys have any more questions for him?
I do have a question,
Mhm,
David.
mhm.
Yeah.
This is Zane. So because right now the full commission only meets every other month,
Mhm, if we don't meet all.
if they all give me an update on the off month, or however often they want to give me the update, would I be permitted to send the full commission those updates? There's like, no, just say, this is our
Oh, sure.
status, this is like, here's the status that this person's been working on this and where they're at.
In general, yes. Where it would be a concern is if there's any sort of like calls for decision, or
Yeah,
a bunch of
no.
people talking to each other about it afterwards.
Yeah, just a
After your
basic,
updates.
here's
But
where they're at, yeah.
But in general, yeah, I think that is fine to get updates on, send out updates on where things are.
And what I can do for these, David, is have you review the
Yeah.
emails before I send them
Of
out to you,
course.
just to make sure.
Of course, I'd be glad to.
Okay, very, very good, any more questions? Okay, we're going to ruminate on all these options and make a decision, but thank you so much, you helped clarify a lot, David,
Yeah.
as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Zhang, do you want me to stick around, or do you want me to not stick around? I can do whatever you need.
I think we're good,
I think we're okay.
All right.
yeah, okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Mhm.
And I like that idea, the off-month updates. It's what I do with my board. We
Mhm.
meet every other month,
But
and
you do
I do
An
an
interim.
an interim
Yeah,
briefing
Mhm.
on just, hey, here's where
things
things
are.
stand, here's the projects, here's,
Yeah.
so-and-so had a birthday, whatever,
Yeah,
just
keeping
some.
people connected.
And then depending on what it is, if you guys feel the need to meet after one of those updates to discuss
Mhm.
things, you can.
We-
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
yeah.
So we could get the
Subcommittees.
off-month
Subcommittee.
update, have a meeting, talk about it, we six can talk, because that's official.
I think that's gonna be most helpful, so.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like, the bulk of our work over the next few weeks or months is the work plan. We need to get it as solid and as, detailed, that's the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for, detailed as possible, so that we'll start seeing buckets of projects in there. You know, how do we break something down like a whole big old marketing plan into, first, get a list of consultants, and all of that, how do we go from here to little actionable projects so that they can see the laundry list of things they can do, put your name beside what it has to be that granular.
Exactly.
So I would say, our next meeting would be to go back to that, chart we had and see if we can put these. Well, how about this? Do we see any committees here at this table of these 4 buckets that you want to wrap your brain around?
I personally wouldn't, you might think I'd go after communications, but.
Yeah, you would think so.
But
You don't wanna.
I'm really kind of excited about the knowledge thing,
Okay,
so,
that you would like to spend some time with that.
yeah, but
Mhm.
I think that would just really excite me more right now, but I'm happy to obviously
I
help
think
on
the knowledge one
communications.
is pretty sexy too. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a big project that's going to be,
Thank goodness.
no, really.
It's
the
not for me,
internal-
I don't have the.
internal one?
ability.
Yeah.
Well, don't think of it like an elephant. You're gonna eat.
Yeah.
You're gonna take it from here to here, and it is really, when you're doing assessments, you go big and then you go really small and you do little pieces, little pieces, little pieces.
I'm a data geek, so I would be into that.
And then you could determine, you could come back and say, I want to do the internal first.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that one is easier to do over the other because they both have their challenges. But figuring out who's gonna help us do a countywide external assessment. I have some resources for you that you might want to take a look at and how to make it actionable. So, okay, so I'm gonna say, you're gonna figure that one out and come back, not figure it out, but you're gonna think about it. Who wants to think about engagement?
I do.
Okay, Renee. I can see some little buckets in here,
Big time.
Big
Yeah,
time.
Big time.
right? The marketing. Does that appeal to anyone, or capacity? I think I should take capacity because of that project.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I should take that one.
Yeah.
I'm happy to chip in on capacity as well. if you
Okay,
want.
great.
And
Okay,
I'm happy to help on marketing, I just don't want to try.
you don't want to, okay, so Bob, again. Okay,
When it comes time to put feet on the ground to do some of the assessments, I have had experience with that. So go ahead and think of me
when it's time,
under knowledge, yeah, when it's time to do that.
okay.
Um,
What we're looking at right now is not when it's time to do it, it's
Right.
now to plan it.
I know, and I'm
Okay.
not.
Okay, allow me to
I'm
take your
I'm
name off
not at
that.
that level.
Okay,
no.
all right. Okay, and
It's just, I know, I'm like, what can I do? How can I do? What can I? I feel
what
like, I
appeals
kind of
to
feel
you?
like I can help with a lot of these, quite honestly. And it's specifically, the workshops, because if you look at it, guys, we have, under communications, we've got community events.
Yeah.
Meetings, gatherings,
Right.
under engagement, we've got it, and, yeah, so, those 2 areas I would.
But if you look at engagement in its most basic way, and I'm talking about the Kiwanis and
Mhm.
that, don't make it any bigger than that. Don't make it any bigger than, standing up in front of somebody with a mic for your 5-minute elevator speech.
Right.
How many elevator speeches can we do out there in the community? How many, very surface introductions, very basic, networking events. We're gonna do
Right.
2, 3
It
next
says
year.
hold 3 networking events and strategic.
There's
business
your
account.
goal, so then you can just say,
Speak at arts and civic events to build awareness and.
just coming up with lists
Yeah.
of places we can go.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanna do.
And then maybe
With engagement.
track
I wanna
what,
come up with lists.
the only thing we wanna
and
add to that is maybe,
Set some goals.
I-
Do you wanna do that?
Or
too? Is
do
that
you
what
wanna
you're saying?
stay out and be our
Well,
quarterback?
yeah, kind of like that. But what I'm thinking is, let's not just show up at a Kiwanis. Let's make sure that we have decided what's the goal? What do we want
Of
that 5
course.
minutes to bring back? Like, get on our email list, you know? We need to, I don't want to just say, hey, here's some information about the arts, and they go on to the next topic.
Well, we might be
want some
telling them that
deliverables.
we're doing an assessment and we want everyone to fill out the survey. I
Yeah.
mean, we might have some actionable things for you to do.
Exactly. And Bob, didn't you mention follow AEP as kind of a model? I mean, I think that's a great idea for the survey concept.
The
Let's get this, let's come up with one and get it out.
It could be that we're, I know that when you're doing assessments, that stage of the process where you're asking people to respond,
Mhm.
either through focus group sessions or surveys, is a long one.
Mhm,
And you gotta get it out there and ask, have you filled it? And there's a period of time
mhm,
when you're doing it.
right.
So that's what you're doing when you're going out and you're introducing. Now, we're in the process of collecting information. Here's, here's the QR code. Go there now.
Right.
Fill it out. We want to hear from you. So
Yeah.
those two will go together, the
Well,
engagement and the
engagement.
knowledge, because the knowledge when you're doing assessment, it's so much engagement. So those two have to
I
work.
think one thing on engagement too, we should try to collect. Every other month when we meet as a group and people do their little reports, we should track where
How it's going.
where
Mhm.
commissioners were, even if it's a smaller appearance,
yeah.
if they spoke about the county at all.
Right.
Just so we can kind of,
Like the Oceanside thing. I
yeah,
just
so we
went
can just
through.
keep track and say, hey, we spoke, like
how
I was in
many people-
Tijuana this weekend. And I spoke about our arts,
And how
our
many
arts
people were in
commission,
the
so we
audience?
just, kind of keep track that we did this. It wasn't quite as big as
Mhm.
that, but at least we had a presence there, we were mentioned.
And you know why this
So
is
it
important?
shows.
When you do grants, they ask you your impact, your outreach
Mhm.
numbers.
Mhm.
And if you don't track your numbers, you won't have them.
Mhm.
Well, and next year when we give the update on this, we want deliverables.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we made 48. well,
So 4 million people.
And then we can also shame commissioners who have done nothing. You haven't been anywhere?
That kind of works.
So
So
I,
saying
no, I was just, cause I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't chimed in. So my immediate, draw is to the engagement piece, but I
Mhm.
see there's a lot of draw to that piece
Mhm.
and there's not to communication so
Mhm.
far. So if you need me to do communication,
Mhm.
I can do that. But yeah, that's just
I
my.
mean, we are still at the stage of just creating a list of things for somebody else to do.
Yes,
So,
that's
I
it.
mean, you know,
I can make a
that can
list
make
of
it
things for other
emotionally
people to do.
easier
Yeah.
to,
Yes.
to deal with,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so I, put me where you need me because
Okay.
Well,
I'll do whatever.
And under knowledge, we put the public art ordinance, which is what it would need to be.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I would like to continue to work on that.
Okay.
I'd like to bring in like Christine Jones from
Yeah,
city and get rolling on that as well. So
Okay. all
So
right.
the public art.
a
sub-
countywide public art ordinance is what we don't have.
Right, and so there's this subcommittee that I'm chair of.
Yeah,
Is that it?
no,
Mm-mm.
you're,
Mine has to
you're
do
level
with,
A and that's level B.
okay,
Because
because
we
I'm
have an
still kind of
existing
waiting for
policy.
the day of
Yeah.
knowledge thing.
So we have an existing public art policy. It's for one department.
Right, I get the
So
problem,
we need the whole.
right.
Mhm.
But we figured, let's perfect that policy and get things in place and then expand.
Okay,
So,
so in terms of
Hmm.
reporting, we're not there yet, because we haven't got anything to report, I get that. And maybe at our next subcommittee meeting, this group meeting, I could bring to you reporting models of documents that people can all feed into that worked very well for the people who needed to do the reporting. That was my experience with it. Would that be okay, or would that be, Zhang, I'm looking at you?
Kind of like that Excel doc you just
Yeah.
had.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and, I'm looking, we call them metrics. And you had, every month, you had to say where you were, including numbers of people, like count the heads in the room,
Good.
kind of
Okay.
thing.
we
And
can
we
do
had to
whatever
do
we
some
want
for
in
the
this
county
committee, right?
also.
Around our work.
Yeah, if it's like related to this work, you definitely bring it back. Like whenever we decide our
So,
next meeting, and that's our
Yeah,
next
just,
topic.
they're
and we
just
decide
model
if we need to meet
documents,
again.
they're, you know,
Yeah, I
would this
think
work
so.
for us?
Yeah,
And I'm used to working with Excel, does that work with everybody?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So in terms of how we'll organize our work, here's what I'm thinking. Everyone take their assigned bucket back. Ask yourself a bunch of questions about it. If we were going to implement that, what would be the logical objectives?
Right.
What would be, how would you dice and
Step A,
slice it?
step B, step C.
Yeah, what would you do? And then we'll come back to our next meeting and everybody who's been working on it, thinking about knowledge or thinking about engagement, will
Okay.
report out.
Well, Bob, I'll take under knowledge, I'll take item 2, which is the public art ordinance.
Great.
Okay, so I'll flesh that out.
Can these two talk to each other
Yes.
offline?
You're
Okay,
still two. Yeah.
so-
Do we
so
have to?
You can
if there's
talk
food involved, would you?
Yeah, there you go.
Or drinks?
and, we can talk about,
Mhm.
capacity building. I can tell you about what's happening with that project that I'm working on,
Okay.
see if that's something.
Yeah.
Bob, you guys, if you want to talk about communication
Okay.
offline, you can. And Renee, you're just gonna come back. Oh, the two of you are gonna do
Well,
engagement?
you're interested in engagement, right? And I see overlap.
Yeah.
So what would you like to?
Yeah, well, if I'm taking a first pass sort of at the communication, if you want to take a first pass at engagement.
And
Let's do
then
that.
keep it
And
separate.
then
Let's do
keep,
that.
and then if you
Or
want, if you need to,
Bounce
bounce an
stuff?
idea, then I'm fine, and that same thing I'll do with Bob if I
Yeah,
hit a roadblock or if I need a
I like that.
bounce or
Yeah,
something.
that's
So
good.
everybody
Okay.
has one.
And who's
Okay.
doing engagement?
Yo,
Okay, so we had tentatively announced that the networking events, the first one would
Right.
be in the fall in
Right.
North County.
right.
And a few people
I've
come forward.
already been looking for
Cool.
venues and
Talk to me about
groups,
that because. I
only
have
because I
venue.
wanted to bring it to you.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I will talk to you about that.
That's all that's been.
So you're gonna wrap your brain around it.
I'm gonna big time wrap my brain around
Okay.
it. Stuff that we've already been doing, different commissioners is attending CCAN meetings. And I
I don't
think,
know what that is.
it's South.
South County Network for the Arts.
CCAN is South,
InCAN started it.
South and East
I know
County.
NCAN, but CCAN, what's the
South and
thing?
East.
South
South
and
East
East
County.
County Arts
Arts.
Network, and they're
Oh.
pretty active group.
I didn't
And
know
they're fun
about
to
that.
talk to.
Patricia Creek, it branched off from North County.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
very fun group to,
A lot of
they
artists
have a lot to say, a lot of
Okay,
artists.
CCAN.
It involves, there's somebody who shows up from every commissioner's district.
That's cool.
Because it's south and east and
Mhm.
all the districts. Sometimes there's nobody from District
Okay.
3,
Mhm.
but the other 4 districts,
So,
somebody shows up. So that, and then I was looking at, also NCAN, their structure is
just-
different.
mhm. They just
Um,
became a nonprofit.
Yeah, she told me I was, big
Mhm.
congratulations, but
Mhm.
I had been thinking about where in North County, east, west, we could talk, if
Yeah,
you have
sure.
ideas, I have ideas,
let's
you
talk.
have ideas. And
Sure.
also I was looking at, just in terms of engagement, for the whole year, I was looking
Okay,
at, where would
good.
these all be?
You're gonna go deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so all I think should happen is go deep,
Mhm.
come back.
That's
And
it.
how you report out,
In between,
no,
Oh.
no in between. You're gonna come back. I was just saying, I don't have a particular format for you to report out. Just tell us. But then we'll maybe start building,
spreadsheet.
the
It's the
spreadsheet.
data format that I could help with,
Yeah.
not here we are talking.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But we gotta get the ideas out.
Right.
How are you dicing and slicing
Right,
this paragraph?
exactly.
Can we also, in that process, if you see an overlap
Mhm.
with one of the other
Yeah.
groups, just sort of highlight it or put a star next to it, because I think at our next, when we come
Mhm.
back together and we share out,
Mhm. We need a column that says
We
what
need-
it connects with.
we need to look at, okay,
Mhm.
well, how do those projects overlap and how, which one needs to come first?
Okay.
right? So just kind of, if you're
Overlap.
already thinking about that,
Mhm.
where it overlaps with another committee, it'll make that next step more efficient
I
when we come
appreciate
back
that.
together.
Okay, and if it's just its own thing, if it's its own thing.
Yeah.
That's how I see the next meeting happen.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then I know I probably have it somewhere in all my old emails from you, but if you can send the most detailed information you have on what we've already talked about under each of these groups.
Yeah, I have my to-do list to share the document she has here, as
Okay.
well as that Excel spreadsheet, just so you have.
Okay.
With all of us.
Of any notes, if you guys said like fall 24 networking events, I have
Okay.
notes.
Yeah,
in
where
there.
does that
Can we
go?
go back to your Excel doc so that we can kind of figure out how you want the information?
And also if you can just include in that email the final
Strategic plan?
strategic plan
Yeah.
document, so all in one place
Yep, I
together.
like that. Thank you.
So
Without digging, yeah.
column C is measurable objective tasks.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how, and
Okay.
it could be split out.
So that's
It
gonna
could
be
a
one we
task,
get-
It could be an objective.
That's
So
where all
these
of
are
our
specific,
work done.
these are the specific goals that are written in our,
Yeah, those are the goals from
The
the
narrative,
plan.
yeah.
And some of these are just notes that I've
Yeah.
been filling in while
Right.
you guys have been talking.
But so we'll fill out column C, and then the next column, can you go down?
Mhm.
So the timeline, like, if it's within months or years,
so that's completion, time is
Recurrence is-
completion.
Yeah,
Date?
time is
Okay.
completion date. Let me do that. Completion date.
So this is what I'm
yeah. this is what
really
you're thinking.
comfortable with because of
Yeah.
having had to work with the county and that's how they
Sure.
set it up.
And so recurrence is like, okay, if that, it was a project, you think, okay, when we wrap this up from point A to point B.
Yeah, is
and
it one
Who's
time?
doing it,
And then responsible party will start putting our names in there,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
okay, and then keep going over a little bit.
Yeah, so that's when you have the project assignments.
Count meaning what?
Groups. County partners.
Okay. Oh,
That's a good
That you
one,
might
Yeah,
wanna
that's
reach out
good.
to.
Yeah.
good idea.
okay,
And then the last one is external partners.
okay.
Service.
So can you send us all that?
Yeah.
Could we add a column that says outcome? So in other words, when we, what was the end result? Did we
Yeah.
get it done? Were there,
Mhm.
Where would you
issues-
guys like it?
Or maybe
best?
what the intended outcome is.
yeah.
I would like it to be
Yes.
after completion date.
After?
You know what? I agree with you. Intended outcome and then.
What actually happened.
What did we want to accomplish and did we? And what were- if there was an issue, list it
I don't
down.
know, these are public documents. Are we sure we want both of those? in there?
At some point,
Or final outcome.
when
maybe.
we start assigning the task to the larger commission, we're gonna need to add their names
Yeah.
to ours, responsible
Exactly.
party.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay,
because this is gonna keep us on track.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I can split this up to strategic planning subcommittee
Mhm, mhm.
So,
member. I'm gonna find a shorter way to say that.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
who's overseeing that, and then the just general commission member.
Mhm, mhm.
so under the goals, and if you scoot back to the left, under the goal. Okay, so the second one, is so they're broken out, so the bullets are there,
Yeah.
okay.
And there might be some more, but.
Yeah,
True,
these are what's officially in your strategic plan.
got it, okay,
And then these are, the rest of this is just
okay,
internal.
well,
Sion is internal.
under the public R one, put me,
Mhm.
okay. And, so we can start assigning, got it, excellent. The third bullet there is,
And then Renee is under
Renee.
engagement.
develop mechanisms for learning about cultural policy issues, okay.
And this is. And then this is.
Alicia.
Yep.
Yeah, very good.
So is it okay to, under, have the third networking Did we already say that we had one, which was at the soap factory? Or
If you
did we-
want to count that, you can.
Oh,
I,
true,
I,
good-
I like doing these things,
good
it was
point.
better.
It happened.
Yeah,
I mean, we could say it in parentheses,
or you
But
could
then-
say, you could have one and do three more. I mean,
yeah.
I think we should
It's-
count it for now, and there's nothing that stops us from having four.
Exactly.
Yeah, right,
So
yeah.
I have an idea, which would be, that we do one in the spring.
no, Renee, stop. Stop right now.
Not on here?
Yeah, I don't wanna hear it.
No.
I don't wanna hear it today.
Do you dive in. and
Bring
we're back
it back to us next
Okay,
month.
got it.
I don't wanna hear that.
Exactly. You might.
Okay, but it should.
In your head,
Okay, should my name be on there somewhere else because of,
no.
Well, you're attached to the whole thing.
So what's happening right now?
You've got the three bullets, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
oh.
So the
no,
whole thing under engagement, so the,
Yeah, but what about that, up above the art? You know, this little part that has to do with our process
Mhm.
around
Yeah,
deciding what public art is gonna be.
That's in a whole different
That's different.
subcommittee.
It has nothing to do with
This
it.
is only ordinance. We're not.
Right
So-
on, got it.
so
Okay.
can I just make sure that I'm clear exactly what so my name is under communication.
Mm-hmm.
So my job between now and our next
Mhm.
meeting
Mm-hmm.
is to dive into my bullet points, which I have two here.
Mm-hmm.
Host the needed workshops and develop a marketing communication plan. I'm gonna dive deep into those two
Mm-hmm.
bullet points and come up with measurable tasks and
Mhm.
objectives
Right.
Mhm.
to complete those
Yes.
over the next 2
Yes.
years,
Yeah,
because this is a 2-year strategic
you're
plan.
exactly
So
right.
what are steps A, B, C, D
Mhm.
for that project, and what
Yeah.
are these steps? And then I'm gonna come back
And we're
here
gonna load it up.
and we're gonna talk about all of those parts and pieces and how they connect with other
Mhm.
people's parts.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that we can then report to the full commission,
What we want them to
here's the
know.
next projects that we
Mhm.
have to do.
Right.
And
Right,
what's
is that right?
important to your point is the overlap and priority, because some of them may have to go before something else.
Right,
We might need you before we can do knowledge.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
And we'll sort that out here.
perfect.
But, and it's not perfect yet because you're brainstorming by yourself.
Mhm.
You're gonna need us to help, but you're gonna bring from whatever you know about marketing plans. You may have to do a little research. You know, what goes into a marketing plan, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's money too. We don't have that here.
Budget.
Yeah,
Budget.
We need to have a column that says, can we do this without money?
Mhm.
Or how much money do we need?
Mhm.
Is it even feasible to do it? That will also determine when and how we get it done.
Mhm.
No money, gotta raise the money, so that capacity building may have to come a little bit early.
And I would suggest that like 2 years worth of tasks is great if
Yeah,
people are really swept up in
I
it,
think
but
it's fine.
realistically,
I
like the
think
first
it's
6
fine.
months.
Yeah, yeah.
like,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I would.
What's gonna happen before we have
yeah.
to come back and
Right.
like,
yeah,
the
Exactly.
world will have changed 10 different ways by then.
Yeah.
So,
right.
You know,
I totally
we
agree.
should not be micromanaging 18 months from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Next meeting,
yes.
what's today? Today is Monday, the sixth.
Oops.
Next full commission meeting is in June. June what?
June, like 25?
26.
26.
So we have about 5 weeks to pull it together and get something. So can we do it in one meeting or 2 meetings between now and then?
I mean, I'd like to say we can do it in
One
one meeting,
big
but
meeting? Mhm.
I also maybe would like to say if we have that meeting soon in case we don't.
Right.
if
Well,
we
it
need
can't be
another
too
meeting?
soon because you need to do the work.
Right, but I mean, if we like break it up so that we can potentially fit in another meeting.
Okay.
Before the commission meeting.
Awesome. So looking at the calendar, I would say all of us would need at least 2 weeks to dive into our big bucket, right?
Agreed.
So 2 weeks from now would put us at
20th.
May 20th.
Mhm.
that's a Monday, that day looks really crowded for me. Let's see, why does it look
Yeah,
crowded?
but solid means good or crowded? Did you say
Crowded.
It
solid?
looks crowded for me. I try not to crowd.
Could you go to the 27th? Oh, that's Memorial Day. Forget that.
Yeah,
And then
Um,
I'll be out of town the whole next week.
Later in the week.
yeah,
of the
that,
20th.
that morning for me is booked, but my afternoon
Which
which
day?
date are you talking
on the
about?
20th, if we did it on the 20th, my after, 12 to 5, I'm good.
I'm out of
Okay.
town until the 22nd.
Okay, let's look at the 22nd.
So I'm out of
No, I
town,
mean-
22nd to the
I'm
29th.
back the 23rd. So,
Okay, so we're not gonna be able to get everybody together.
yeah, so I mean, it's,
Until
If
after
it's-
Memorial Day, looks like.
And then I'm out from Memorial Day through June 1st. I'm out that whole week at a conference.
So what about the 27th, the week, so the 27th is Memorial Day.
Yeah.
What about the 28th?
yeah.
No, I'll still
I
be
know.
in DC.
Okay, only you,
I'm
I'll
out.
be gone.
The two of them.
and you're
gone.
gone,
There's
okay,
3 of them gone.
Okay.
okay, so who's gonna be here on the 29th?
Gone.
Weird.
Oh,
I'm here,
I'm back starting the 20th.
so you're back,
I'm here.
you're here,
I'm here.
you two are not here. When's
Okay.
the next time everybody's here?
I'm here the 30th.
It looks like June 3rd might be
Yeah.
the first one.
Okay, let's go with June 3rd.
Yeah, I thought this.
Unless you guys
Yeah.
wanted the
No.
May 17th,
No.
which is a Friday.
And then we will just come with a mindset of getting it done
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
No, there's still time for another one because the
Yeah.
And
meeting,
you'd have some more
had to.
weeks after
Yeah.
that.
It's the 26th.
yeah, so there's still
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And if you want, you can hold 2 places right now.
Okay, let's hold
knowing-
2 places.
It's like
a good
going home.
Let's
And
hold
so-
2
so
places.
Subcommittee on, at 11 AM again?
June 3rd.
11 AM?
this was 10
Yeah.
AM.
We
10
did, we
AM, I'm
did
sorry.
it.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
10.
10
Let's
a.m.
do 10.
I like that.
And then do we want to hold something like either the
17th
18th or the 20th-ish?
So on the 3rd, we're coming in with our list and our structure.
Yeah,
And then we're gonna throw it all up on the
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
Okay, can I just ask that everyone be very relaxed and let other people have input into each of our pots?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
We're
Really
not
well.
gonna be, okay.
And if you want, you can send me your stuff, so when we meet,
That could be great.
I'll have
Yeah,
like
so
ask
already got it.
yours.
So here's the draft.
So we're
And
not.
when you give it to Zhang, you have to release control. And you have to say, we all say, I am releasing control to the universe and to the subcommittee. So
Are
that
you-
when we come back, we are all.
Are these comments directed at any person? Should I start being paranoid?
No.
Hey, could we also maybe there's another person we'd like to join our project, right? Because we're trying to be in project mode.
Mhm.
So maybe we should consider that too.
At this table?
No, I mean, just like that list, say, you know,
Oh,
who do
who's,
I want to be with? Could someone join me on this?
oh,
Maybe we can
okay,
put some thought to that.
okay.
And then our second meeting, let's narrow this down.
June.
Either the 18th or the 24th.
Tuesday, the 18th is not good for me.
Is the 17th bad?
17th would be
Yeah,
fine.
what's wrong
I'll
with the
be out
Monday.
of
17th?
town on the
Oh.
17th.
I'm
You're
gone.
out of town? You're,
Fine.
you guys
I'm
want?
What was the other date you asked?
The 20th.
24th
Oh, 24th.
will be the
PH
next Monday.
Lab has their meeting, but that's not till, it's from 10:30 to 11:30.
What's the 19th like,
The
Wednesday?
24th looks good for me.
19th is a holiday.
Oh,
Well, does,
it
The
is.
20th.
It's Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Oh,
20th?
yes, correct.
20th?
Right, right.
It's okay
the
for me.
20th, hold on, let me get back. to-
20th, I have a board meeting at 10:30.
AM?
Yeah.
Mm.
I hope it's not PM.
Mhm. If you want to do it later in the
20th.
afternoon, I can do on the 20th.
I can do the 20th or the 21st.
Mhm.
I know you're off on Fridays.
That's my mental health day.
Yes.
How about the 20th in the afternoon? Anybody can do that?
I can do
I
it.
can
One
do that.
o'clock,
Yeah,
Mhm.
everybody?
yep,
Yep.
At 1.
1 o'clock.
awesome. And then our board meeting is the 26th.
Yes.
Plenty of time.
What time do we?
And we may
decide?
not even need this one,
20th
so
at-
it's just, this is just,
At 1?
So if we're saying
we're
one,
putting on our calendars is a
Mhm.
backup.
So I'll send you guys calendar placeholders,
Perfect.
all the
Awesome.
documents, et cetera, probably later this afternoon, or if not by tonight.
Okay. I love it.
It's good work, guys.
okay, so the 3rd and the 20th.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's all we have. What time is it? 11:40.
40,
All right,
Nice job.
all right.
adjourned.
Meeting's adjourned.
So